Good day, welcome. This is your Daily Med with Lady V. Today we want to look at Psalm 25, verse 3, and Psalm 27, verse 14, to see what God tells us in His Word when we become tired of waiting. Psalm 25 and verse 3 says, Indeed, let no one who waits on you be ashamed. Let not mine enemies triumph over me. So the question before us, have you ever experienced a delayed answer to your prayer? Some may say, yes, I have. Some may say, no, I do not. It could be that some is right, and it could be that some is wrong, or everybody could be right. It may seem delayed to some, but from God's perspective, He is right on time. So if you are praying about some things right now, it is very important to ask God to answer according to the synchronized schedule of His perfect will. We see in the scriptures, Jesus had a friend. His name was Lazarus. His two sisters were Mary and Martha. Message came to Jesus that Lazarus was sick. They knew he loved Lazarus. They knew he was a friend of Lazarus. He received great hospitality when he's in Lazarus' house with his two sisters. And so you would think that Jesus would drop everything and run to the aid of Lazarus and heal him. But he did not. Even Jesus himself had to wait on the appointed time, the perfect will of God, to make his visit to Lazarus' house, Mary and Martha's house. And by that time, Lazarus was dead for 4 days and had been buried. So yes, there is going to be a time when we have to wait. All we need to make sure that we ask God to synchronize them, so that we do not worry, so that we do not complain, so that we do not become doubtful, so that we do not even fret or actually do things out of the will of God. You see, His wisdom is sublime. His heart is profoundly kind. God never is before His time, and He is never behind, says J.J. Lynch. So as we faithfully pray, God answers our prayer in His own time. So let us learn in prayer and practice Psalm 27 and verse 14, which says, wait on the Lord, be of good courage, and He shall strengthen our hearts. Wait, I say, on the Lord. So don't be discouraged. Don't be dismayed. Don't be despondent. Don't become distressed. Keep your focus on the timekeeper, not on the timepiece. He will turn or seemingly delay into deliverance. David knew from experience what it meant to wait on the Lord. He had been anointed king at about age 16, but didn't become king or didn't sit upon the throne until he was 30 years old. He had a waiting period. During the interim, he had been chased through the wilderness by the jealous King Saul. David had to wait on God for the fulfillment of his promise to reign as king. We also see later, after becoming king, he was chased by his own rebellious son Absalom. But waiting on God is not always easy. Often it seems that he isn't answering, or he is not coming through for us in our situation or situations, or we think that he doesn't understand the urgency of our situation. This type of thinking implies that God is in control. This type of thinking implies that God is not fair. And we cry like toddlers, it is not fear. We cry like some teenagers, it is not fear. We throw tantrums when we see God coming through for other people, and it seems as if he is failing us. It seems as if we are going to be ashamed because that which he promised us, we can't see it. It is not coming forth. But let us remember God and the things of God, that which he promised us, is worth waiting for. Can we truly sing, I don't mind waiting on you, Lord? Whatever the promises he makes to us, he will fulfill them. Whatever he has in store for us in his own time, he will give it to us. It is called the fullness of God's time. When Adam failed in Genesis chapter 3 and verse 15, he promised a second Adam. He promised the seed of the woman. And because of his truthfulness and his faithfulness, the Bible declares to us that when the fullness of his time came, God sent his only son into the world to save lost sinners. Can we trust his truthfulness? Can we trust his faithfulness? Can we trust him in his own time to answer our prayer and to fulfill the promises that he has made unto us? Lamentations chapter 3 verse 24 through 26 calls us to hope in and wait for the Lord. Often God uses the time of waiting to refresh us, to renew us, to revive us, and to teach us. Let us make good use of our waiting time by discovering what God is teaching us through them. We are God's children. Delay does not teach us that we are forgotten. Delay does not teach us that our petition or our request is denied, nor does it cause his faithfulness to fail. Rather, it fortifies our souls and vindicates his name. Waiting on God was one of David's secret of being a man after God's own heart. Proven in scripture in our lesson today in Psalm 25, in verse 3, in verse 5, in verse 21. He tells us to wait on God. In Psalm 27, verse 14, we see David again telling us to wait. In Psalm 33 and verse 20. In Psalm 37, verse 7, verse 9, and verse 34. In Psalm 40 and verse 1. In Psalm 52 and verse 9. In Psalm 59 and verse 9. In Psalm 61 and verse 1, David tells us that God will attend to our prayer. In Psalm 62 and verse 5. In Psalm 69 and verse 6. In Psalm 130 verse 5 and verse 6. Can we take it from the man David, the king himself, who knew what it is to wait faithfully upon God, knowing that he is truthful and he is faithful, and in his time he will make good on his promise. In his time he will answer our prayer. God bless you. Thank you again for watching. Please like, please share, please comment, please subscribe, and don't forget to visit my YouTube channel, Daily Med with Lady V.